Neko. Oh no, I don't have to shout, do I? That's so good.
Is that what normally
There you
happens?
go.
You have to shout?
Oh yeah, because we usually don't have
no,
these
of course,
microphones.
we're leveling up.
We're at Neko Cafe today, which is right next door to your work.
It is.
Pretty cool. Thanks for recommending it.
You're very welcome.
Japanese cafe and restaurant, so you can get literally look at this amazing that udon noodle soup that looks so good. I've been sipping this sencha tea, which is smelling gorgeous. I did think about getting a matcha, but I wasn't in the mood today.
I saw your video with the 3 matches, and you went from maybe it was Kensington High Street to Chinatown.
May have overdone the matcha for this week. Oh, sorry. So we're at Neko Cafe, and Neko means cat, which is super sweet. We both love cats, don't we? Big fans.
We do.
Today we wanted to quite fittingly talk about a book that we've both read called The Guest Cat, which I've got here. The Guest Cat by Takashi Hiraide. I'm saying it in such a British way, such an English way.
I think I read it in my first review, Nick.
Oh, that is a while
So
ago.
that was 2014, almost 10 years ago.
Oh, is that how long we know? So we met in our very first week of going to uni. So we're like freshers buddies.
It's true.
Which is
The
really
world will
sweet.
know now.
I know. How would you, in 10 seconds, could you summarize this book in 10 seconds?
It's the story of a small family. I think it's 2 old people that live in rural Japan somewhere, and a cat comes. That's it.
Yeah.
I think.
That kind of is it. Like the whole premise.
And they bond, and the cat's very
really
sweet and cute,
Yeah.
just like as cats go. And
it's not their cat, so it's actually like bit by surprise.
Yeah, it's
the
a
cat
stray.
kind of like a stray.
I think it's
Is it a stray? Yeah, no, it is a stray.
hence it's the guest cat.
Oh yes, of course. There is a Goodreads review on this book, and I think it's in Italian. Do you want to read it and give us a little?
Go on.
Give us a little summary as to what this person is saying. It's
Rossella.
Rossella. It's also not that great of a review. This
2
person
stars.
gave it 2 out of 5 stars.
The day before
so-
my birthday. She says, il racconto insomma non genera coinvolgimento in me, in quanto occidentale educata a considerare psicologicamente. What does she say? I'm gonna skim it, guys. She's saying that she cannot connect emotionally to the characters because they don't express their emotions, which I can relate to. I don't remember feeling about this, about the guest cat, but definitely about other Japanese books that I've read. The reason I picked up this book in the first place was because I just got a cat at the time, and it was near Christmas.
Yeah.
So I bought it for myself just before we went home at Christmas, and I read it over Christmas.
All right.
And so, yeah, I don't know. I didn't pick it up. My point was I didn't pick it up because of a connection to Japanese culture or wanting to read something by this author in particular. It was I wanted to read something about a cat. I remember thinking it was quite, obviously it's a thin book. It's a short book, so there wasn't very much development, perhaps, is what I remember thinking.
I read this book very, very slowly back in the day, almost like chapter by chapter.
When did you read it?
I think I read it maybe last year of uni, so like only a few years after you did. I definitely picked it up, read half of it, and then I do remember there being a long break of me not continuing it. And I think usually that is potentially a sign. I didn't quite engage with it from the start. I did end up finishing it purely because I wanted to finish it. I like finishing books, that's kind of the bottom line. But is there anything, if you had to say, that was anything you took out of it? Or that was kind of, was there anything profound or not profound?
I think one of the main characters develops an unexpected relationship and bond with the cat that I think it was the man, the husband of the couple, that he wasn't expecting to develop. And I think it reminds me of my parents, and particularly my dad, because when I brought Brum being my cat, home, I really wanted a pet, and I'd always really wanted a pet, and my parents were really against it, and I wasn't having it. And so I brought Brum home, and they ended up falling absolutely in love with him. And so I could see that connection between the character's experience and my own, and what I saw happen in my own family. So I think maybe that. And I always think back to this when I try and, because sadly Brum is no longer with us. He was an outdoor cat, and one day he kept going in and out, and one day he went out and sadly didn't come back. So
which is exactly what
which
happens
is
in
yes,
this book as well.
it's me. I wrote it. Having this dependent, having this responsibility, having the pet is a commitment, but it brings you so much joy that I think the commitment, it makes it totally worth it.
Most importantly though, would you recommend reading this book?
I would.
Yeah. I would too, 100%. Out of 5 stars, how many would you give it?
4. I would say 4.
Yeah. I would actually say 3.5. Not 3. Because 3 is quite an
3 is
average
too low.
number. but also 4 seems quite high to me in comparison to a lot of other books that I would have considered a 4. So I would give this 3.5 out of 5 stars and definitely recommend to read it.
I would agree.
It's just too sweet to not read. It's too precious.
Yeah. And it's very comforting and uplifting. And it's a very good holiday read. I remember being happy with my choice at the end of it.
That's a good thing at the end. You don't want to be disappointed when you put a book down.
That's true.
Is it similar to anything else you've read? Is there anything else you would say if you've read something else, would you like reading this?
The book about the red cat, the homeless person. I can't remember any names.
Oh, the cat or something
that's
like that.
it.
Yeah.
That was quite similar.
Was it? Okay.
In the way that the main character was obviously homeless and squatting, and then this cat comes and literally enters his life.
Yeah. And changes his life.
Yeah. And they develop an unexpected emotional connection.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so if you like Bob the Cat, I think that's what it's called.
Street cat named Bob.
Street cat named Bob, yeah. Bob the Cat. Then you might really love this as well. My last question is, I know you said earlier you're not a huge connoisseur of Japanese culture. I am not either. This is the whole point of all of this. But do you think this book reveals anything about Japanese culture to us that is valuable?
Something else I remember about this book is that the husband and the wife don't necessarily communicate with one another about what's happening.
Oh, true. I remember that.
I wonder. Your question was, does this book reveal anything about Japanese culture that we can kind of take home?
Yeah.
I wonder if that's something.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know. This being fiction and me not knowing very much about Japanese culture, I don't know if that's the case.
An interesting observation to make, though.
If that is true, then I would think that.
Yeah. I mean, something very kind of surface level I would take from this is that Japanese people just love cats. Right? I think they're obsessed with cats. I mean, we're in a cafe called Nico, called Cat.
See, I didn't know.
And the amount of literature there is, Japanese literature about cats. Yeah, this is really sweet. Thanks for joining us on this little review. Thanks for meeting Luca. Oh my days.
Hello guys, nice to meet you all.
So yeah, hope this helps you decide if you want to read this.
Bye.